last year, Boilermakers rose to the challenge. As frontline workers, doctors, and nurses,
teachers in the classroom,
postal workers, grocery store clerks, and restaurant cooks, all providing for others.
Families sacrificing time together to keep everyone safe.
It was tough without 14804 strong in Mackey.
Your voices were missed. Whether you sit behind us,
at the top of Mackey,
here,
or here,
we hear you,
we feel you,
and we miss you.
But we know whether you travel 3 hours
or across the street,
whether you've been here for 25 years
or 2 years,
your support for Purdue basketball never wavered. Now it's time to get back into the stands.
I feel the electricity in the house, the passion.
To fill the arena.
It's a wall of sound here at Mackey.
To make Mackey erupt again.
Listen to this boiler crowd. They got one wild at Mackey Arena.
Because you are what makes Mackey so special.
You create the best atmosphere in college basketball.
One of the top 5 places to watch a college basketball game.
I would argue you can't find a better one.
And we can't wait to have all you back.
I woke up with almost like no memory. Like I knew who I was, like I knew my name was Kaya. I knew in general like who I was as a person. I didn't forget who I was, but I didn't remember anything.
She was like intubated, unresponsive. Actually, I didn't even notice. He fainted because he thought she was gone.
My first thought when I saw her was and nobody can tell me different, she wasn't alive when I first saw her.
I mean, honestly, that's what I was thinking. Like, I can't believe that my daughter's gonna die. And I was like, if you open your eyes, everything will be fine. I'm literally screaming at her, like rubbing her arm, and she was unresponsive. And then next thing we know, she literally just popped straight up in bed and flailing her arms. And we all got ushered up. As soon as she sat up, they're like, okay, you have to leave now. And I believe that we were in there as a last-ditch effort to bring her back. I think that's why they let us in there, because the minute she came to, like, none of us were allowed to get near her anymore.
Almost all of my internal organs were lacerated and bleeding. I was pretty much bleeding out in my pelvis. And then both of my lungs had collapsed completely. I had a sacral fracture, which is in the back of the pelvic ring. And so my pelvis, if it's supposed to be like this, it was like this. And I guess cut my internal organs. So I had an open book pelvic fracture. So yeah, if you're sitting down, your knees are like this, and then mine would have been separated the other way. So like an open book on its spine. So I had nothing holding my legs together. And then later diagnosed traumatic brain injury and a couple broken ribs, which made it difficult to walk with a walker after the surgery. I'd say I was fully cognizant like a week later, and they said I could make a 90% recovery to where I was when I got in the accident, which was really big for me because it gave me a lot of hope to recover and kind of set my drive for my comeback.
She was out right before Thanksgiving, and she was 2 months.
She couldn't walk until January sometime at all. So the rehab she was doing in the hospital was to get her to the point that she could get to the bathroom and back to her bed. And then that was the only rehab she did until she could start walking in January.
I'm really grateful to be at Purdue, surrounded by the amazing support that I have. Coach Jones, my lifting coach, especially my teammates, got blessed with them, and then being able to have my family around through everything that I went through. I'm just very grateful for all of that, grateful to be able to compete, and grateful to be here today.
There's one that I always kind of remember. It gave me goosebumps, actually. So that was when I had that tip ball, 4th and 1 against Vanderbilt.
Vaughn back in now. They're going to 4th and 1. There you go. Ball on the inside. That's what you do. Play action. Batted down by Karlaftis.
You know, that was my first, big play in Ross 8 in a game where, I was struggling a little bit against an SEC O-line. It was my second game, and I made that big play on 4th and 1, which, a game-changing play. And they were in a wide-off position with the tight end. The tight end, I was on the right side of the ball, and I knew I thought the tight end was going to block me. It was a 4th and 1, so I thought it was going to be a run. They chose to arc the tight end and down block the tackle, which would leave me free. And instinctively, I went up the field. I saw the quarterback going to throw it, get my arm out, and attempt to bat the ball down, which is what I did. And then, in the past, I've had guys, after tip ball, catch the ball and go forward. So I had to grab the quarterback and throw him down just to make sure there was no chance of that. And I remember just making the play, and as the stadium just roaring and getting goosebumps down my arms, and it was great. It was great. I'll never forget that.
Play action. Batted down by Karlaftis, and Purdue turns Vanderbilt away. Karlaftis makes a big play when he has to. He came off the edge, got his hands up, and knocks it down.
I've seen a video of Coach Brahm seeing it and smiling and laughing, and after that play, and that made me happy when that happens. I like making Coach proud. So.
Hey, my name is Mark Herrmann, and I am Director of Leadership and Alumni Engagement for the John Purdue Club.
My name is Isaac Lugenbell, Director of Development here within the John Purdue Club.
Do I say hi? Sorry, I don't know. Okay. My name is Chris Mulmy, and I'm one of the major gift officers here with the John Purdue Club.
My name is Javed Giddens. You can call me Jay. I am an assistant director for annual giving for the John Purdue Club, and I have been here for 2 days.
Courtney Downey, Director of Development Operations for the John Purdue Club, and I do a little bit of everything, I need to redo that again.
Okay, I'm Ben Cuman. I work on our annual fund, premium seating, raising as much funds as we can for our student athletes.
Courtney Downey, Director of Development Operations for the John Purdue Club. I do a little bit of everything, which is what is exciting. Yeah, that's what I do.
My favorite type of burger would be,
In-N-Out, just amazing.
So for all you Minnesota folks, the Juicy Lucy is incredible. That changed my life.
Obviously, it's a biased opinion being from Southern California, but it would be In-N-Out. You get it animal style. I go animal style, no tomatoes. And for those of you that don't know, animal style means they grill the onions, they add extra sauce. It's about as good as it gets.
That's a good one.
Instead of getting the ketchup, you'll throw the chili on it, throw some bacon on it. After the heart attack, you'll have a good day.
You know, I tend to like super bougie ones with like a really nice bun that's not too dry, that's, you know, the type that you have to like keep your pinky out when you eat it. Yeah, that's the type of burger that probably I like most.
I like a bacon Swiss burger. I think that would be my favorite and my go-to.
I'm a dog person. We got a little,
I would say dog, because cats are a bit of a mess.
King Charles, what is it?
Oh, dog, 100%. Have my mini wiener dog named Bean.
Cavalier King Charles Spaniel is what we have at home. Her name's Betty, and she's a real rascal.
So I married into 3 cats, and I was able to use that as leverage to get a dog.
It's not that I don't like cats, I don't trust them. They are conniving creatures, and you can't turn your back on a cat because you just don't know what's gonna happen to you.
Well, I briefly owned a cat, and she was a lot of fun, but definitely sway over to the dog side.
Cats like me. You know, I would say in general, they don't know I'm not a cat person. I just don't trust them. But I can earn their trust like any good development person.
Special talents. I can beat Tim Horse. Cut that one out. Don't show that one.
This is what sells, baby.
Interesting.
I can beat Tim House and Horse. All right, right here in Mackey too. I challenge him, actually.
Do I have any unique talents? No.
Special talents? I think I can light up a room, but
Special talents. I don't have those.
I guess I'm pretty good in the yard. I love landscaping, yard work.
Also another special talent, I was good at acting. I used to do Broadway theater. Varsity guys were not too nice on the football team about seeing me in tights.
No, I can't do anything. I can't do the...
Of the 2 legitimate styles of pizza, do you like New York style or Chicago style?
Chicago style, all the way, not even a question.
I take issue with the 2 legitimate styles here. I'm a Detroit style for life.
I've been to Chicago a handful of times, and I've tried it, and I would still say New York style. And for those New Yorkers, you know, Megan, I'm looking at you. You're welcome.
All in the water from New York.
Chicago. My husband's from Chicago, so every time we go back home, we definitely get that deep dish pizza. It's amazing.
Chicago's kind of like a casserole. It's all good.
You know, I've always kind of liked that thinnish crust. I think New York.
That's a wrap.
That's it?
Yeah.
Well, happy Tuesday, Boilermakers. Welcome back to our second Boilermakers in Your Home. We have a great group of Boilermakers joining us this evening. We're kicking the night off with a conversation I was able to have with a couple of our Olympians before they left for Tokyo. Enjoy. Well, thanks for joining us, Annie. I know when this airs to Boilermaker fans all over the world, you will already be in Tokyo, and just kind of let us know how you're feeling and how preparation and training has gone as you get ready to head for Japan.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. It's a surreal feeling for sure, and it's been 4 years in the making now, a lot longer than that, leading up to my journey to the national team. So it's really just surreal to see, my dream kind of laying out in front of us. And now we're talking logistics and nitty-gritty details of travel and COVID testing and what do we wear and what's the schedule. And it's kind of like, I can't believe this is happening, So right now I'm in Anaheim, California. That's where our national team is based out of. And we are training Monday through Friday. We've been here for about 2 weeks. We had a 5-week tournament in Italy that we came back from end of June. And we've been here for the last 2 weeks prepping for Tokyo, and we leave on Saturday. So what that means is just a lot of training, like I said, a lot of logistics. And as a rookie, in a sense, I'm one of our new players to the Olympic roster and the Olympic Games. I'm just trying to soak up information and get the lay of the land a little bit so we can hit the ground running when we get there.
Right. Now, are any of your teammates former competitors of yours? Any Big Ten folks or anybody that you've run across through the tournaments?
Yeah, it's funny because we have people from all over the country, and we have people in all different stages of life. We have people who, I think our youngest is 23, our oldest is 34. So we have quite an array of people. But one thing a lot of us have in common is the Big Ten. It's well represented here. I want to say about half of our team is represented in the Big Ten. We have 2 girls from Penn State. We have 2 Fighting Illini, and we have, I think, 3 from Nebraska. And I rounded out with being the only Boilermaker, but quite a good representation for sure.
Sure. Well, that's fun to be teammates now. So that's great. Well, tell us a little bit about your journey since you hung up your gold and black uniform like 6 years ago, and just how you've arrived at finally making the Olympic team, and just what you've gone through to realize this dream.
Yeah. I love sharing my story a little bit because this is never in a million years where I thought I would be. I went to Purdue, and I loved it. I loved the atmosphere, the game atmosphere, the support for volleyball. And I'm from Northern Indiana, so it was a close to home choice, and it felt like family. It felt like such a great fit. And if you knew me in college, I loved volleyball. I would have done anything for that team, but really, I don't think professional volleyball was on my radar. I think I was looking to get married, start a family, and kind of that was my next steps after college, and just get a job and use my degree. And boy, was I wrong. God definitely had other plans for me. So I signed my first professional contract the day after we finished our tournament run in 2015. I signed to Puerto Rico, and I ended up playing 2 seasons in Puerto Rico. And to be honest, those were both kind of 2 seasons where I didn't really know where to go next. I didn't want to join the real world yet. I didn't want to hang up my volleyball shoes yet. So I kept signing these contracts and just kept my nose in the game. And that was kind of my time in Puerto Rico. And from there, I was invited out to the national team in 2017, following the 2016 Rio Olympics. And I was one of maybe 30 or 40 people out here. The first year of a new Olympic cycle, they bring out quite a few new players, and I was one of those. Given a 2-week tryout, and ended up miraculously making the team, and they must have seen some potential in some way. So I I've been here since 2017, and in that time I've played professional seasons in Italy and Turkey, and most recently Japan. So volleyball's taken me all over the world, and this is absolutely not what I had in mind for myself when I was a Boilermaker, but just really excited to where life has gone and where God's taken me, and enjoying every step of the way.
Well, that is a fantastic story, and certainly Boilermaker fans all over are thrilled for you and the program. Coach Shondell was not able to join us, but maybe just share a little insight on, Coach, and he's had such a great run at Purdue, and just what kinds of things you were able to take from him, and how he was able to bring you in as a freshman, and then ultimately you're going to be an Olympian. So just maybe talk a little bit about that experience.
Yeah. So there was actually a personal family connection to Purdue with Dave. My parents went to college with Dave and knew Dave and Angie quite well from Ball State. So there was kind of a personal connection that started it all off. But once I decided to be a Boilermaker, I think one thing that I gravitated towards with Coach Shondell is he has a really good way of believing in people and instilling confidence in people. And I think that's really important. I think he's a very passionate coach, and at times he can be really hard on you, but it never came across in a way that it was bringing me down. It was like he was pushing me because he knew I was capable of more and confident that I could take the program to new places. I could just be a really sound volleyball player and a solid person. And I think that having someone constantly pushing me was really important in my career and ultimately setting me up to continue on.
There could be some young ladies in our audience and looking at you, and what kind of advice would you give them, Annie, if they look to, maybe aspire to be a volleyball player or any other pursuit in their career? What kinds of lessons would you, kind of pass on to our young listeners and viewers that help kind of shape what you turned out to be as an individual?
I think the biggest advice I would have, and this is probably the best advice I've been given, is to really look at your sport or whatever you're pursuing as a body of work. Don't let the highs get too high. Don't let the lows get too low. And I'm 27 now. I've been doing this for 5 or 6 years, and I hope to continue on. And I think at times it's really gone in my favor, and I feel like I'm on top of the world. And other times it just seems like nothing is adding up. And I think the biggest thing I'm learning from these experienced players on my team and around the world is it's a whole body of work. Every day matters. And you just need to work on making deposits each day in the bank towards what goal you have in mind, whether they're big or small. You just got to find a way to make a couple deposits each day and stay the course. I think that's huge too, is, these people who have these long, successful careers, the big thing they have in common is they just kept going. And I think that's something that really resounds in me is it's a whole body of work. Can't get too high or too low, and just every day put one foot in front of the other and keep going the course.
Absolutely. Terrific advice. Let's head back a little bit to the days on Purdue's campus and competing for the Gold and Black. And, you had tremendous sport in the Holloway Gymnasium, and you played in the top conference in the country. Just what was that experience like? And just kind of share with a lot of folks who supported you over the years, just kind of talk about, how you guys are so close. You could just tell on the court that, you love each other. You want each other to succeed. Just kind of talk about your Boilermaker experience.
Yeah, I will say nothing has prepared me more for professional sports than Big Ten volleyball. And one thing I think I would love for Boilermakers, current, past, supporting Boilermakers to know is, professional volleyball, professional sports, I would say, around the world are not as glamorous as I think people may think. I think in the US, we're fortunate to have, we see NBA, NFL, and all the money and the promotions, and it's really glamorous, but around the world, it's really not. I've been on teams where we don't have a designated locker room, or, you're kind of fighting with management to make sure you're getting paid on time. It's not what people fully think it is. And the Big Ten, the amenities and the opportunities that are available for student athletes to succeed are really, really incredible. And so I think just the things that were offered to me at Purdue to help set me up for success, and just the intensity of the Big Ten every single night really prepared me well. And I think those are the things that I really cling to when I look back on my experience there and how prepared I was stepping into the professional world and living in other countries and having things not always go my way. I just thought, man, I was really lucky to have had experiences that have set me up to stay the course, essentially.
Wow, that's tremendous. That is so good to hear, and I'm sure all our listeners and viewers are so proud of you and the job that you've done and the what you're going to undertake here soon. And so we hope the next time we see you, you'll have a gold medal around your neck, and we hope you have just a great experience in Tokyo. And we will be definitely watching and cheering you on. And we just want to thank you, Annie, for spending a few minutes with us and just sharing your journey and your dreams. So best of luck over there, and we'll be cheering you on, and boiler up.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Boiler up.
Well, thanks for joining us, Brandon and Adam. How are preparations and training going?
I think they're going great from my standpoint. Hopefully Adam thinks the same as well. But I think we're just training like a usual meet, trying not to make anything special and just kind of ride along that wave until we get there. So as of right now, things are steady paced and seem normal.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think one of the challenges when you're going into a major competition is to not try to change anything and be better than you are, but to realize that what you've done up to this point is what has allowed you to be in the position that you're in. There's always a little bit of an emotional down when you come back from the Olympic trials, which we both experienced that. It's a heavy emotional event. And so you got to know how to handle that and make sure you see that and hold that in the right perspective. But we've experienced that, and we've been on the upswing, and it's just been great, consistent training like we've had up to this point. So we're both pleased with where we're at.
Super. Well, Brandon, your first Olympics, I can't even imagine the feeling of anticipation and just that exciting feeling. What are you looking forward most to, or what are you most excited about as you look forward to the Olympic Games?
Yeah, I mean, I've had this dream since I was a kid. And so I think my favorite part, or the part I'm most excited for, is the competition itself. I've always looked forward to competing in the Olympics. And so having the opportunity to compete on that large stage is probably my most exciting and look towards event, just because, I mean, as a kid, that was my massive goal, not the clothing or walking around and being in the area, but the competition itself.
Adam, this is not your first Olympics, and how has this last year been a challenge for you as you dealing with COVID and all the things that you've had to deal with this past year? Just how's that been from a coaching standpoint for you?
Well, I think we've all experienced, not just in the sporting arena, but probably in our own individual lives, that, things have been taken away that we're used to having, or, availability to things that we no longer have. But one, just incredibly thankful for an incredible medical staff, led by Carla Day and Doug Boersma, and then our immediate contact, Chris Eaton, that they have really done just an absolutely outstanding job in allowing us to continue to prepare and train as much as we could. We certainly had some down times where there was nothing we could do about it, but we've been blessed. We've been blessed to be able to continue to train at a pace that allows us to be ready and be in a position to perform well at a time like this. There's changes. We haven't been able to compete as much. So one of the challenges is lots of training and not enough. Not to say not enough, but not as much competition as we would like. So you got to find creative ways, within the pool to create that type of environment and get yourself at that type of, kind of anxiety level that you're going to be when you're in a big performance. And so we were fortunate enough to do some different things that allowed us to minimize the effects of not being able to compete as much. But clearly also when you're on the stage competing, we've now had some experience of an empty stands when we're competing, and we're going to experience more of that in Tokyo, but we're ready. We've been prepared to do that, all year. And even some of our teammates are going to be departing, prior to competing as we're at the end. But when we're going into a major competition, I mean, one of the things we work really hard at when we have a full crowd is kind of zoning that out and understanding and knowing our plan and what it is that we need to do to perform at the highest level, and understanding our cues of what it's going to take to execute at a high level. And so, we're going to zone a lot of that out anyways, and we're going to do what we need to do and execute our cues and perform and put together a great performance and walk out of there with our heads up high.
Selfishly, as a viewer, we always love that crowd and the energy that it provides and just the pure drama of it. So, that will be missed, but you will certainly have to focus as an athlete. One quick question about degree of difficulty for both of you. I know you'll have a strategy going in. How do you weigh those two things? Do you start out conservatively and build to your, kind of your premier dives, or how will you go in thinking, all right, do I have to really push myself on a dive, or do I just go solid and hopefully I'll get great scores?
Well, I would say that I'll let Brando comment on this afterwards, but our list is set. Our list is solid. Sometimes divers may be doing a dive of a very high degree of difficulty that is a bit of a risk to do in earlier rounds, but that's not the case with Brando. God has gifted him some incredible talent. He does a list that is of high DD, but he can handle all those dives. So there's no question for us when or if we'll do those. We'll do those in every list, and we're ready for him. Nothing will change. And he's prepared for that up to this point.
Yeah, I think it's very individual too for every diver themselves as to where you'd want to put that in your list to be as strategic as possible. Let that be spreading your harder dives out so you're more comfortable. And so over these past few years, Adam and I have been able to figure out like my favorite list. And actually towards the end, we were able to put this list together right before Olympic trials that kind of suits my injuries well. And then that just suits my nerves well. And so it's not more so about the degree of difficulty, more so how you react with each individual dive and where that feels comfortable for you to compete at your highest level, having it at that specific order.
Yeah, I mean, that's great because as a viewer, we watch and we see that, oh, this one's going to be a difficult dive, and then you hope you nail it. And so, yeah, that's exciting stuff. A question for both of you, what piece of advice would you have for maybe a young aspiring Boilermaker out there that, may want to compete at the highest level? What are some of your thoughts that you could share?
Yeah, I would throw out there, just utilize the people that are there for you. Your support staff is, especially at Purdue, is unbelievable. And I wouldn't be here today without them because I'd probably be in a stretcher or something. My body is very broken, but the support staff we have guiding us in the right direction, let that be academically or athletically, are very, very high caliber. And so being able to use them to their full advantage, how they're presented to you, is probably a massive pull that Purdue has. And so I would definitely use every single person as much as possible.
Wow, when you throw a question to me like that, that is a loaded, huge question of what advice would I give a young Boilermaker? I don't think I would say just a young Boilermaker, but I'd also say to parents that all these young athletes out there aspiring to compete at the highest level. I think we live in a culture right now where the pressure to perform and the pressure to produce results is so incredibly high, and it's destroying a lot of young athletes, to be honest with you. And I deal with that when they come into my doors, that their self-worth is so unbelievably wrapped up in their performance and their results that they miss out on the process. One of the things that Brando would tell you is, regardless of whether or not we made this Olympic team, this is icing on the cake. But he has grown so tremendously over these 4 years, and he now understands what that process means and what that looks like. And so the man that he's become at the end of this, regardless of the results, is now totally worth it. And so I would just say an emphasis to those kids out there is, don't get me wrong, we're going to train hard and we're going to train to win. There's no doubt about it. And we're going to work our tail off in that pool. But just really realizing that there's a purpose and a process that's going on here, and that God's created sport. It's a wonderful thing. There's tremendous amounts of thrill and excitement and entertainment, but also triumphs and setbacks and hurdles that you constantly have to go through. And I encourage every young athlete, you need to sit in those moments. When you're in a struggle moment, don't try to get out of that as fast as possible, but sit in that moment and say, you know what do I need to learn right now? What do I need to learn that's going to make me a much more prepared individual or man or woman as I move forward through this life? Got it? Because there's lessons that need to be learned in these moments. And the same thing for the high victories. Those mountaintops and those valleys many times are where we're going to learn things. And so see sport for what it is. It's thrilling and it's exciting, but it's not to define you. It's not to determine your worth as a person, but you want to work your tail off, train hard, love your teammates well, be humble as you learn, but hold that into perspective. Enjoy sport for what it is. And I'll tell you what, the results will take care of themselves.
So well said, Adam. Having competed at Purdue, and as I look back, those lessons that you talked about and the struggles you go through and the pure ecstasy of victory and the doldrums of defeat, boy, you really take those lessons on and for the more important things in your career as you move on. So, how about competing at Purdue and in the Big Ten, Brandon? How is that getting you ready for the big stage? I'm sure week in and week out, each meet is a difficult thing. And so do you feel like you're just totally prepared for the Olympic Games now?
Yeah, not everyone had the ability to compete this year. And so I used every competition to my benefit to learn from what I needed to tweak and what I needed to learn moving forward. And so the Big Ten has a lot of really good athletes. And so that was really nice to have to push me and to make sure I was being as competitively sharp as possible. So it was definitely a blessing in disguise to be able to compete against a bunch of really, really great athletes.
Yeah, there's no question that the Big Ten and NCAA in particular, you're competing against some of the best athletes in the world. But, looking back at the last question we just answered, for Brando, we had a poor performance. I think it was 2 years ago. Is that right, Brando, in NCAAs? Yeah. We had a poor performance, so this road for Brandon has not just been this steady uphill journey. There's been some massive drops, but that was a bit of a turning point, I think, for both of us. We just learned a tons of lessons as we had a less than desirable performance at NCAAs, but that really helped us learn and grow. And we could have just sat in self-pity, poor us, but we didn't. And Brando didn't. He really, really day after day has continued to just have a high achieving mindset that constantly looks for how can I solve this problem and how can I get better. That's why he stands where he does today.
Well, we are just so excited for both of you. We can't wait to see you doing a great job in Tokyo, and we'll be watching August 6th, and the Boiler Nation will be totally behind you, and we can't wait to cheer you on. So good luck. Thanks for joining us tonight, and Boiler up. Let's go get them.
Hey, Boiler up. Well, thanks to everybody who's viewing this for your tremendous support over the years and continuing to support this program. We just cannot do it without you. We appreciate it, Mark. Appreciate your time, and we will work hard to do our best.
It was great catching up with Annie and Brandon before they headed to Tokyo. They are just two of the many Boilermakers competing in Japan. Be sure to join us in cheering on all our Boilermakers. And here is the list of those competing over in the Olympic Games. Hey, Adam, thanks for joining us this evening. We're really excited to have you. And this month, we're kind of highlighting pro athletes and now how being a Boilermaker has affected their journey. So I know you've had a busy summer, and I know you recently had a top 5 finish at the John Deere Classic. Tell us a little bit about that and how you felt you played that week.
Yeah, thanks for having me on this evening. Very happy to be here. I did just have my best finish on the PGA Tour ever last week at the John Deere. I finished tied for 4th with a couple other guys, I think. So it was a great week. Obviously, did a lot of good things on the course. I had a new caddy helping me out, Brent Henley. So that was super fun. And I just I probably had my best putting week I've ever had on the PGA Tour. So that was very, very helpful in guiding me to the 4th place finish.
Yeah, and you've had another good year. Top 125. I think you're around 109th right now, and I know that's the key number for you. Is that obviously your goal every year is to make the top 125? But do you feel good at where you stand right now?
I feel a lot better where I stand right now compared to where I did a week ago. So that was obviously a huge week last week. But, this week's another good opportunity to have a chance to win on Sunday. That's the goal every week you play is just, if you have a chance on Sunday, you feel like you've had a good week or, get the nerves going a little bit and just have the excitement and the buzz, just the feeling that, you could win if something, if you shoot a couple under, 4 or 5 under on the back 9. So that's pretty much the goal every week. Doesn't always happen, but last week it was nice that it did. And like I said, Rob Bradley's going to be caddying for me the next couple of weeks, and he's obviously the head men's golf coach. So we're just having a big time here, and hopefully we can contend again on Sunday.
Wow, that's a lot of fun. Another fellow Boilermaker, Tyler Duncan, is also on the tour. Have you been able to, see Tyler a fair amount and be able to kind of share stories and share experiences as you go through the tour?
Yes. He's one of my best friends. So we'll eat dinner a lot of nights of the tournaments together. He was a couple of years older than I was at Purdue, but we've maintained good friends. He was the best man at my wedding a year and a half ago. So we're very close. We play they have a team event at the Zurich every year. And we've done quite well in that. And we always play in that together. So we generally always have a good time when we get together, and he's a great friend and a great player. And I think he won about a year and a half ago at the RSM as well. So I think he's the first player from Purdue to win on the PGA Tour. So it'd be nice to follow in his footsteps and get a W of my own someday.
Yeah, I'm sure it's right around the corner. We talked to Devin Browse a while ago, and he's awfully proud of the folks that he's coached, both on the men's and women's side. And yeah, we're hoping for your next your first tour victory here down the road. Just want to talk a little bit, Adam, about your Boilermaker career and how did playing at Purdue help you achieve your dreams, and just kind of some of the highlights as you think back to your Boilermaker career.
It absolutely did help me. There's no question or two ways about it. Campen is a very difficult golf course, and especially in the conditions we played in a lot of times, and later in the fall and the spring when it's cold and windy, it's a difficult golf course. It's very visually intimidating. I've hit, and this isn't even joking a little bit, I've hit more balls in number Hovde Lake, I guess it's called, on number 2 and 17 on Campen. So I've definitely had a lot of practice on. The par 3s are just so incredibly hard. So I've definitely got a lot of practice, with playing a course with so much trouble and a course that can be so visually intimidating. So that definitely helped. once I got on tour, we play these golf courses that are very visually intimidating. Being played camping for 4 years in college was definitely a huge advantage. Just being able to draw from some of those experiences and just getting used to playing harder golf courses. Then obviously if you go to an easier course, make practice hard, and then the game it's easier. So that's kind of the whole idea behind it. But it definitely was quite beneficial. And obviously now they've redone Herrmann. So that's another world-class golf course.
Yeah, two terrific courses. And, a lot of our viewers have played both and really enjoy them. What was your best score, by the way, on camping? That is such a tough track. And what was your best round?
65.
65.
65.
That's strong. That's strong for sure. Well, as I'm sure you dreamed when you first started picking up the golf clubs someday to play on the PGA Tour. Just take us back to your youth and when you began the game and just to where the game has taken you and all your dreams have kind of come true now.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy to think about. Like you said, I mean, I remember growing up on my dad's farm and having a little club that was cut down and going out in front of our house and hitting balls in the Zoysia field, and from there playing in some junior tournaments in Evansville, and then graduating from that a little bit to going and playing in Indy and just the Indiana Junior Golf Program, which is phenomenal, and they've turned out a lot of good amateur college, and a lot of professional players come from Indiana. So that was obviously very helpful. Played a couple U.S. amateurs, I guess, were probably the biggest tournaments I played in as an amateur. And then from there, was lucky enough to be able to play college golf at Purdue. Playing college golf is just a feat in itself. And I was just obviously fortunate enough to be able to go to somewhere that I wanted to go and had the facilities that Purdue had, somewhat close to home, but yet far enough away where I feel like I was still at college and had a new experience. So, it was just, I say this to a lot of, college, golfers I talk to, or maybe golfers that are just out of college turning professional. A lot of college golf tournaments are harder than professional tournaments because they set the courses up very hard. The weather's not awesome. It's cold and windy. It's usually in the fall or in the spring. You're playing, arguably just as good, if not better, golf courses that we play on tour. So the schedule is very difficult in college. So that's a great test, and it's a great warm up for professional golf, to be honest. And from there, I went and played in Latin America for a year. After I graduated, I took an extra semester to go get my degree from Craner, and then I played 2 years on the it's the Corn Ferry Tour. Is the web when I played it. And then I've been out on the PGA Tour for my 4th year, coming up to closing out my 4th year. So that's a little bit of my journey.
Yeah, well, gosh, we're extremely proud of you and your efforts so far. And, getting to that professional level, we all know how difficult that is. And, being able to hang there and compete week in and week out against the best in the world, I guess one thing I would ask, just someone who is growing up and wanted to aspire to be a professional athlete in their particular sport, is there any piece of advice that worked for you as far as just persevering and working hard, all those things? What would you share with some of our young listeners, Adam?
Yeah, that's a great question. What a loaded question. But I mean, it's a good question. I wouldn't try and necessarily reinvent the wheel. There's things that everybody needs to improve upon. But, if you're a college athlete and you become an elite college athlete and you want to turn pro, you're obviously doing things that are putting you in a position to be very successful. So, not forgetting where you came from and what strengths that got you there. Those are, probably going to be your strengths and that propel you, to the professional level and to be successful at the professional level. So, I would say that's a very good start. Obviously it gets tricky in golf, when you try and make improvements, because, a lot of things change when you change your swing, or if you get stronger, if you gain weight, lose weight. So golf's a very different and fickle sport, but I think on a general basis, not forgetting where you came from and playing to your strengths as much as you can, and while also always working on your weaknesses, is a pretty good rule of thumb in a general area to that I feel like I've done okay in and lived by.
Well, it's a great piece of advice. And well, gosh, it's been fun catching up with you. Thanks so much for joining us this evening, Adam. I know you have an extremely busy schedule. We wish you the best of luck as you finish out the PGA season, and we'll be cheering you on. And we just look forward to great things from you, and hoping that first PGA Tour victory is not too far down the road. So thanks again for joining us, Adam.
No problem. Thanks for having me on tonight, and I hope it's in the near future as well.
Okay. Best of luck.
Take care. Thanks.
Jerry, great to have you with us tonight. We're highlighting some of our former Boilermaker pro athletes, and just great to have a chance to chat with you. Everything going well for you tonight?
Yeah, everything's been good, and from my standpoint, Mark, doing
good.
Well in the
good
summer.
To hear. Well, let's go back to Martinsville High School, and you're having to pick a place to play college basketball, and you decide to go to Purdue and play for Fred Schaus. Was that a hard decision, Jerry, or was that just something you had in your mind for a while?
Well, I did not have my mind made up. Nowadays everybody makes their minds up, usually sophomore or junior at the latest. But in those days, you usually didn't make your mind up till you went and visited a few schools at the end of the season. So I visited 4 places. In the end, it came down to I really wanted to play in the Big Ten. I'd grown up watching Keller and Mount and, all the Big Ten players around the whole league and everything. So that's really what won out in the end. And then when I visited, it just felt at home being at Purdue, being from the state my whole life. And it was going to be close where my parents could come to the games. And that was a factor as well. So, and I got along well on my visit with all the guys on the team.
No, that's great, and you had just a marvelous career. And then, then your senior year, Lee Rose gets hired, and you end up having a terrific year and didn't quite make it to the NCAAs, but made it to the finals of the NIT. So, a fabulous way to end your career, and those 4 years had to be very special for you.
Right. And, my senior year was really, it was by far the most fun I had while I was at Purdue because, we weren't predicted to do anything that year. We had a new coach coming in. We'd lost 3 senior starters. In fact, in Chicago at the preseason meetings, the media picked us to be 9th that year. And so we weren't given a lot of credit to be able to compete in the league that season. And Lee Rose was a tremendous coach, even though he was only at Purdue for a couple of years. He had great success in those 2 years, and really kind of turned the program around from the standpoint of, he really worked us hard and really had a lot of discipline on the team, which we were kind of lacking for a couple of years. So my senior year, to tie Michigan State and Iowa, and unfortunately we didn't get to go to the tournament. We were playing as good as anybody in the country that year. I think we won 15 of our last 18 games in the best conference in the country, and it was just unfortunate we had to go to the NIT. And then unfortunate that we didn't win it.
That's right. Yeah, that's always a bummer. But did you feel like your experience at Purdue really enabled you to go on and have that very long NBA career? Did you really feel prepared, not only, competing in the Big Ten, but, just your non-conference tough schedules there? Do you really feel ready to go?
Right. Well, you'll remember, Mark, in that era, the Big Ten basketball was probably at the zenith of what it's ever been. So many players around the league. I mean, 2 and 3 and sometimes 4 pros on a team. And I'm not talking about guys that had a cup of coffee in the NBA, but guys that had long careers in the NBA. So that definitely played a big part, playing in that kind of competition for 4 years. Of me being able to play in pro basketball. And to tell you the truth, I really didn't give a whole lot of thought about pro basketball when I was in college. I mean, I didn't really know if I was good enough or not. But once I started seeing some of these guys have success in the NBA, and and I'd played okay against a lot of these guys, it gave me some confidence that I could. And my journey into the league was a little bit different than a lot of people. I wasn't a high draft choice. I didn't even make it my first year out of college. I was cut by Golden State, which was the team that drafted me. And then I hooked on with the Pacers the next year as a free agent. And I had to go through a series of tryouts to go up the ladder to the last guy to make the team that year. So that's I kind of took the long way to get into the league, but I finally got my foot in the door.
Yeah, you end up spending 5 years with the Pacers and then on with the Celtics. And I have to ask you about the 1986 year with the Celtics, and you part of an NBA championship team with Bird and McHale and the whole gang. And you played a really big part in that, Jerry. Just kind of re-look at that and just your thoughts and just how that whole experience was.
Well, again, kind of, my underdog mentality, once I kind of got established with the Pacers and, I started for 2.5 years and averaged double figures for a couple years there. I really wanted to know what, we weren't making the playoffs. We made it my first year as a rookie and I didn't play much. So, I just had a hunger to play in the playoffs and see what that was about. And could I do it on that kind of stage and, against those kind of players in the playoffs. So, Boston was a great fit for me because they were looking for a shooter. They were looking for somebody that didn't turn the ball over much. And, it was kind of tailor-made the role that they had available when I went there. So I came off the bench and I backed up both Danny Ainge and Dennis Johnson in the backcourt. And, that's a heck of a backcourt to be backing up. But, when you're on a team like that, Mark, you could have gone out there and made some of the shots that I made. I was so open because they weren't guarding me. They were guarding, Bird, McHale, and Parrish and some of those other guys. So I was fortunate. My skill set fit that team, and I was able to stay healthy and have a really, really good year, that 85, 86 year.
Well, and it was fun to watch you. And, I look at Steve Kerr and John Paxson with the Bulls teams, and they delivered big shot after big shot, kind of the same role that you had. And, you've got to be confident, and they were confident to throw the ball to you. And so that was a lot of fun. So, you have a 10-year career. That's outstanding, Jerry. And then you decided to go on to coaching. Was that something you thought about near the end of your career, or what? How did that transpire?
Yeah, to be honest, I always, especially when I was coming out of college, I kind of thought that I wanted to coach. And then, I got lucky. I had a playing career. And what I actually ended up doing for 4 years before I coached, I did radio for the Celtics. And I started out in broadcasting. I know you did a little broadcasting here and there. And, it was something that I liked. I traveled with the team for 4 years, did all the games. But you didn't have the competition, and that's what I really missed. So when Kevin McHale, who I broadcasted his last game and Bird's last game, as those guys were retiring, McHale, he got a front office job and actually was the vice president of the basketball operations in Minnesota. And he asked me if I wanted to. He kind of knew that I wanted to do something else, and he said, "Would I be interested in going there as director of scouting?" Which is what I originally went there for. And then, so I did that. I had two hats. I was an assistant coach and director of scouting for about 4 or 5 years with Minnesota. And when Flip Saunders took over that first year that I got there, he asked me to come and help him, coach. He hadn't hired the other assistant coaches, and we had a relationship by working all summer on the draft and doing that type of thing. So he asked me to come to the bench then, and I never left after that.
Well, you had a 20-plus year coaching career and outstanding. And, I'm sure that was very fulfilling and really kind of eased that transition from playing. And so that's terrific. Hey, one thing I wanted to bring up, you had to fill in at your alma mater down at Martinsville High School. Head coach, I don't know if it was an illness or what it was, but how was that going back to the old high school and kind of filling in for the rest of the season?
Yeah, it was kind of a weird situation. Yeah, the coach couldn't finish the season that year, and I probably wouldn't have done it. I was still living in Minnesota. I wasn't coaching that year. I was out for a season there, and when that happened with the coach, I just kind of called. I knew the athletic director, and I wanted to know what was going on, and he threw it out there right away. Would I be interested in coming back? And I didn't call him for that reason to apply for the job or anything, but I had seen that team play a couple times that year when I went back to Indiana, and they were all seniors, and they had a nice little team. And so if it hadn't been for the fact that they were all seniors, there were a lot of young guys, I probably wouldn't have done it. But they were a tremendous group of kids, almost all honor roll students. And so I went back and did it. It was a lot of fun. It really was.
Oh, that's great. And before I let you go, Jerry, just kind of your thoughts on the upcoming Boilermaker basketball team. I know we have all great expectations, and I know you keep in contact with Matt. Just some of your quick thoughts.
Well, I mean, they got a world of talent on that team right now. They got a lot of good players. More talent than really Matt's ever had, especially when you look at the depth of a lot of these positions. And I kind of feel for him. I don't know how he's going to keep all those players happy. He's got so many good players. So that's a nice problem to have. And so, he's done such a tremendous job there. The pieces will fall the way they're supposed to. And, I'm really looking forward to the season. The next 2 or 3 seasons, really, we got a lot of good young players.
Yeah, I'm with you. So excited to see what's going to transpire. So, hey, Jerry, thanks so much. Appreciate you taking the time. Always good to talk to you and see you. And have to hit the golf ball here down the road here soon. And best to you and your family. And have a great rest of your summer.
All right. Thanks, Mark. I really liked watching you play too when I was in school. We had a good football team and basketball team at the same time. Thank you.
We had a lot of fun, didn't we? Yeah.
Yep. Sure did.
All right. Take care, Jerry. Well, tonight we have heard from a few of the many Boilermakers who have been able to represent Purdue professionally, and it's been a real pleasure. And I'm also very grateful that I was one of those that was able to go on beyond Purdue and play in the NFL. I think Purdue prepared me as well as any university could have, both academically and also athletically, and throw in socially. We're all growing and kind of advancing on, but we played on the big stage. We had a lot of great competition, had wonderful coaches, teammates, just a great environment, a terrific pro style offense that was able to suit me and enable me to play at the next level. So just so grateful for my experience at Purdue, and that's really why I'm back doing what I'm doing right now, because I love the university and I love what it's all about. So now, before we end tonight's program, we have a couple drawing winners that we'd like to announce. Okay, the first is the Olympian Surprise Pack, and our winner is Ronald Pritchett. Congratulations, Ronald. And now we have JPC prize pack number 1. And our winner is Bob Fitzgerald. Congratulations, Bob. And our final drawing, and that will be a JPC prize pack number 2. And our winner will be Glenn Ludicky. So Glenn, congratulations to you. Well, we cannot wait to see you back on campus supporting our amazing student athletes this fall. Until then, boiler up and hail Purdue.